Imagine discovering a temple so old that it was already ancient before the pyramids were even imagined. Older than writing, older than the wheel, older than pottery, and older than farming itself. Built by people who, according to everything archaeologists believe for over a century, shouldn't have been capable of building it at all. This is Göbekli Tepe, and its discovery didn't just add a new site to the history books. It forced historians to tear up the first chapter and start again. To understand why this matters, we need to understand what archaeologists believed before Göbekli Tepe was found. For decades, the standard story of civilization went like this. First, humans settled down and began farming. Then, with a stable food supply, populations grew. Then, and only then, did people have the surplus time, resources, and organization needed to build monuments, temples, and cities. Agriculture first, civilization second. It seemed logical. It seemed obvious. It was taught in nearly every textbook on early human history. Then, in the hills of southeastern Turkey, near the modern city of Sanliurfa, a German archaeologist named Klaus Schmidt began excavating a strange mound local farmers had been plowing around for generations. What he found underneath would completely upend that timeline. Buried beneath the earth were massive T-shaped limestone pillars, arranged in careful circles, some standing over 5 meters tall and weighing as much as 10 tons each. The pillars weren't just standing stones. They were elaborately carved, covered in detailed reliefs of animals: foxes, boars, scorpions, snakes, vultures, and wild cattle, rendered with a level of artistic skill that seemed impossible for the era. And the era itself was the real shock. Radiocarbon dating placed the oldest structures at Göbekli Tepe to around 9600 BC. To put that in perspective, Göbekli Tepe is older than Stonehenge by roughly 6,000 years, older than the pyramids of Giza by roughly 7,000 years. It was built before humans anywhere on Earth are known to have invented writing, pottery, metal tools, or the wheel. According to the old theory, the people living in this region at the time should have been small, mobile bands of hunter-gatherers, groups too busy searching for food to organize the kind of large-scale, coordinated construction project that Göbekli Tepe clearly required. Quarrying multi-ton limestone pillars, carving them with intricate, symbolic artwork, transporting them, in some cases hundreds of meters, without wheels or draft animals, arranging them into precise, circular enclosures. This wasn't the work of a few families. It required organized labor, shared belief, and leadership, the very things archaeologists had assumed only emerged after agriculture made large settled populations possible. Göbekli Tepe suggested something almost backwards, that in this case, it wasn't farming that led to organized religion and monumental building. It may have been the other way around. Hunter-gatherers, coming together for shared ritual and belief, may have organized themselves first, and agriculture followed later, partly as a way to feed the workers and pilgrims gathering at sacred sites like this one. In fact, genetic studies of early domesticated wheat have traced its origins to wild wheat still growing in the hills surrounding Göbekli Tepe, suggesting this region wasn't just where monumental architecture began. It may be close to where farming itself began, only a short distance, and perhaps only a few centuries after this temple was built. So who worshipped here, and what for? That question remains genuinely unresolved. There are no signs of permanent housing at Göbekli Tepe, no domestic hearths, no burial grounds for ordinary residents, none of the usual evidence of a settled village. Instead, evidence suggests the site was used seasonally, a gathering place where dispersed hunter-gatherer groups from across the wider region came together, perhaps for shared feasts, rituals, or ceremonies, before returning to their normal, scattered lives. The animal carvings covering the pillars offer tantalizing clues, but no clear answers. Scorpions, vultures, and snakes, animals often associated with danger, death, or the unknown in later mythologies around the world, appear again and again. Some archaeologists believe the site may have been connected to death rituals, or an early form of ancestor worship. Others see it as a shared calendar or an astronomical marker. No inscriptions survive to tell us which, if any, of these theories are correct, because Göbekli Tepe predates writing by thousands of years. One pillar in particular has drawn more attention than almost any other carving at the site. Archaeologists call it the vulture stone. It shows a large vulture with outstretched wings positioned above what appears to be a headless human figure, surrounded by other birds and abstract symbols. Some researchers believe this scene may depict an early funerary practice, in which the dead were deliberately exposed to the elements and to scavenging birds rather than buried, a practice still found in a handful of cultures today. Others caution that we may simply be reading a modern narrative into an image whose true meaning was lost 11,000 years ago. For years, Gobekli Tepe stood almost alone in the archaeological record, a single extraordinary exception to everything else known about the period. But more recent excavations have complicated that picture even further. Archaeologists have identified an entire cluster of similar sites scattered across the same region of southeastern Turkey, now referred to as the Taz Tepeler, or Hills of Civilization. Sites like Karahan Tepe and Sayburk feature their own carved pillars, their own strange animal reliefs, and their own unanswered questions. Gobekli Tepe, it turns out, wasn't an isolated miracle. It may have been just one node in a much wider network of early ritual centers, built by communities who were far more connected and far more organized than anyone had assumed. But perhaps the strangest part of the entire story isn't how Gobekli Tepe was built. It's how it was buried. At some point, around 800 BC, the people using this site did something almost unheard of in the archaeological record. Rather than abandoning the site to slowly decay, evidence suggests it was deliberately, intentionally backfilled, buried under tons of soil, rubble, and debris, seemingly on purpose. Why would anyone go through the enormous effort of burying a monument they'd worked so hard to build? No one knows for certain. Some researchers suggest it may have been a ritual act, a deliberate closing of a sacred site once its purpose had been fulfilled. Others propose it may mark a shift in belief systems, as farming spread and older hunter-gatherer traditions faded away. Whatever the reason, that act of burial is precisely why Gobekli Tepe survived at all, preserved almost perfectly under the soil for roughly 11,000 years, until a farmer's plow began catching on stones buried just beneath his field. Klaus Schmidt, the archaeologist who led the excavation for nearly 2 decades, once said that Gobekli Tepe wasn't a settlement that eventually built a temple. It may have been a temple that eventually created a settlement around it. If he's right, it means something in this quiet range of hills in southeastern Turkey may be the birthplace not of farming, or writing, or cities, but of something even more fundamental: organized human belief itself. Today, only a small fraction of the site has been excavated. Ground-penetrating radar surveys suggest there may be as many as 20 separate stone circles still buried beneath the surrounding hills, untouched since that final, deliberate burial nearly 11,000 years ago. Whatever those hidden circles contain, one thing is already certain. Gobekli Tepe rewrote the opening chapter of human civilization once already. There's no telling what the rest of it might still rewrite. Perhaps the real lesson of Gobekli Tepe has nothing to do with farming or architecture or timelines at all. Perhaps it's simply this: long before humans built permanent homes, long before they wrote a single word, they were already gathering together, carving stone with extraordinary skill, and reaching for something larger than themselves. The need to build, to mark a place as sacred, to come together in shared belief, may be far older and far more fundamental to who we are than anyone ever imagined. If you enjoyed this deep dive into history's greatest mysteries, subscribe to our channel for more.